Hey. Wow, this is long. Hi there. I have missed you. If you have not missed me, I have missed you. Oh, by the way, welcome to another episode on the podcast Curious Intern. If this is your first time, where I talk about stuff I'm curious about or my life as an intern, adulting. Anyway, back to this. So it has been long, right? This has been so long. I don't even think I did anything in December for you guys, and I am so sorry. It has been a lot. I adulted a little in this month. I made some choices in this month. I stepped into new light in this month. I did some things that was different from me. But this whole episode is recapping. And on a norm, recapping is from January, right? We're gonna go backwards. That's a recap. No, recap is you removed something, you capped a bottle, you removed it, and then you just recapping it. So I'm gonna be doing this when you recap something, you're kind of closing it. So we're closing the year. And so this is my closing of the year gist, or my closing of the year talk, or my one episode to at least get something across to my listeners at the end of year 2022. So let's go back to a little history. And January was wonderful. We're feeling the bottle small to 12 months. January was tough. I feel like January is always slow. Is it just me, or January just feels really, really slow? Once you're over with January, February flies and the rest. And nobody can disagree that some months felt slower than the rest. Some felt long. I didn't really experience June. I don't even know what happened in June. June was crazy fast for me. I don't know. I didn't experience September as much because I traveled. I did my birthday, so it was like that. May was long. Anyway, so January was really slow and was tough for me because I went back to school. I had to prepare for my hospital final for midwifery exam. So yeah, basketball. So another phase happened there, and I was so excited to start and end that phase. You know how exciting it is, or how we want so bad to start something and finish it, and then when we end up finishing, it's the process, because that's how it was for me. Looking back at it, I really enjoyed it. There were so many good moments and so many annoying moments, but in all things, we are finally done with it, right? I wrote the exam in March, and I left school finally in March. The second week, I think, or first week, I was so excited to leave that school. So I left school in March, and I've been in Port Harcourt for a while till I left Port Harcourt in September. My birthday was the last thing I celebrated there. So I left in September, came to Lagos, saw that I had to readjust and I had to learn again. But amazingly, before I left Port Harcourt, I recorded my first episode. So I think that's another thing celebrating Port Harcourt. Let's recap. We're almost there. So in Port Harcourt, I finally made up my mind to start podcasting. I did a research on what podcasting is. It's just sharing your voice with people on what you believe in, on how, so many people are kind of experiencing similar things as I am. And when I give what I'm going through and advice, it kind of makes them feel like they're not alone. And then some people are not experiencing what I'm experiencing, but an idea of somebody else going through something that is not theirs. You know how somehow when you're listening to other people's problem, it makes you feel better about yours. Yeah, selfish, but yeah, that's how I put it in my head. Somebody else could be listening to me somehow and could feel better. Not like I'm going to be listing out my problems here, because I said it's what I'm curious about and what answers I get. So I'm not going to come here and tell you guys I don't have money, and then few minutes later I'll tell you how I got money. Nah, like it's kind of going to be like how to get money. Forget the fact that I don't have money, or I'll just tell you, oh, how do I make money? I feel like we should have financial episode too, right? But I would not share something I haven't found answers about. So that's my policy. I want to talk about things that matter. But the truth is, that matters to me. I'm not going to lie and say, oh, I'm going to be talking about general knowledge here. My podcast is not general knowledge. My podcast is what Seun Funmi is curious about, what Seun Funmi wants to share with the world. And most times, not everybody in the world will like it. So I have a specific listener population, right? And it doesn't, I think when you're making a podcast, when you make the decision to start something like this, you should be ready to know that it is not everybody that will like it. I don't really do well with criticism, but I enjoy it. I feel it's part of growth. You should get criticized to get better. You can get better by knowing how to, shoulder it and be like, oh, okay, this person just doesn't like my work, and you just move on. And you could get better by learning from what somebody is saying about your work. Yeah. So I won't be petty and be like, oh, I wish everybody would like it. Like, I won't be a child and just enjoy that. So September was when I decided to make my podcast. And I wrote down a lot of things I was going to do. I mean, it started off well. I had people listen to me because they always do that. I released it on my birthday. So people were like, wow, okay, this is new. But because of the limited knowledge people have about podcasting, I feel like podcasting is just coming out, and I'm so excited I'm part of it. The crowd that is really into podcasting now, a lot of people are doing it, so thank goodness. So at some point, with patience, it will blow someday. It's like audio only. It's like a radio show, and if you like radios like I did, this is fun. So when I released my first episode and I wrote down things I was going to do, I was all excited, feeling like, oh, okay, I'm going to be doing 2 episodes every week and blah, blah. You know how naive I could be when you're starting something. There's just this excitement and you have all these plans about it. I had a 50-50%, I wouldn't lie. I knew that it wasn't going to be as easy as I said, but I wanted to hold on to 50%. That would be so smooth. So October came and I started working. And then I just knew the plan of 2 weeks per week was going to reduce. So I started doing 1 week episode. And I thought I was going to be able to do it every day, every week. But there's a lot of work that goes into releasing an episode. You have to design, you have to edit, you have to write bio, something like that. And for every episode, you have to try as much as possible to do something captivating. But there's just something about the social media that, because it's a social media, what you're releasing must be attractive. Maybe it's because of the content I'm releasing. I'm trying as much as possible to release something, as I said, not everybody would like, but something that people can relate to. So yeah, but it's my podcast, so it's a lot about me and other things I've seen. So that was how October and November was. I was working. I felt sick a couple of times. Not major sickness like that. Okay, malaria, then body weakness and stuff like that. Cough, catarrh. So things like that also affect me releasing podcasts. So my editor is quite far from me. That was another thing. I had deadlines I couldn't meet. I kept writing. Ideas came to me and I kept writing them, but I never actually did them. And sadly, I'm actually sad about that. But I have to move on, right? Finally, I'm doing the December thing. I finally released 1 episode, even though it's at the end of the year. I was going to do an interview with a friend, but I think I but just to move that to next year. And I'm excited for that interview, by the way, because I just want somebody else's voice on this podcast. I just want to know how it feels like, and how other people would react to it. And funny enough, the next interview could be you. I could do something like drop your phone number and randomly pick somebody, and we could just have an interview. Yeah, those are like things I have in my head. Those are like plans I've made. So we're about to close back the bottle. We're about to recap the bottle as it was full. So the year 2022 for me has been very up and exciting, and sometimes had its lows. But as I'm going to say this, I saw God in it. Oh yes, I'm a believer of God. I believe in the supernatural. I believe that there is a being out there in heaven seated on the throne who created everything that this universe is of. I believe that air did not just become created from a love matching up of things. So I don't do as much research on science, not because I do not want to know, but because as powerful as knowledge is, it can corrupt and cripple the mind. It begins, because of how much people know, they begin to doubt their own existence. That's the truth. And that's not the life to live. I really believe the Christian life is freedom. Like, there is just something I have to know. How hard is it to just believe God? Like, why do people fight it so much? I'm not gonna have issues with you knowing about a lot of things. It's good. But then just knowing one thing, I'm very sure of it, that God exists and God loves you, God loves me, and that He came and died for me, and that sin has no power over me. Some people I don't even believe in sin in the first place, but look at it. Forget the whole society rules and stuff. Things are bad, things are good. It exists. There are such things as good and bad. I mean, why would you want to kill another human being? And if there was no such thing as law, you would not know that was bad. That's the truth. Anyway, that's for another episode. Because I feel I'm still going to do that. It is my podcast. If I want to share about how much God loves me, if I want to preach through it, that's my business, right? And by the grace of God, my listeners who are my listeners will listen. So, that's recapping. The year 2022 was a lot, and I'm just glad that we're going into the year 2023. By the grace of God, I really do pray that I do not lose any listener and that my listeners grow instead. A little word of advice. The whole thing about resolutions, yeah. Don't make that. Just do goals. I believe in goals. I did that. I didn't really achieve all of them, but the fact that they were goals, I was like, okay, I wanted to achieve at the end of the year. I mean, I wanted to read some books. I started them, but I think I rediscovered new things about myself. And I'm going to work on it next year. And you guys are going to be like my witnesses. By the grace of God, I would be reporting to you people. Like, you guys will be my accountability partners. That's nice now. So I just want us to go into the new year with goals, with targets. Because if you're like resolution, not everybody it works for. So just go with goals and targets. Go with the idea that, okay, monthly, January I want to do this, February I want to do this. Funny enough, I wrote 25 articles this year. And that some were good, some were like in the middle, some were just lazy. But I wrote them, and people would think it's so easy, but it's not. It's really not easy to do a lot of things consistently. Consistency is hard, and I discovered that, and I will not take for granted those people who are consistent in what they do. I appreciate them, and I'm using them as goals too. So, just really make targets and goals, okay? What else do I tell you guys about 2022? I don't know how yours was, and I only pray it gets better. Your former will not be better than your latter, okay? Your 2023 will be better than your 2022. So I don't know how your Christmas was, by the way. Christmas for me was nice. Yeah, I don't want to give you spoiler, but just know I spent a week with my partner. He came over here with me to Lagos, so that made Christmas wonderful that last. Anyway, thank you all for listening. God bless you. Until next time, this is Curious Intern Podcast. Bye.